The latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So the impact of Netflix purchasing Warner Brothers, if that happens, the Ellison family, Larry and David, they're not done yet. They're pitching a hostile takeover. We'll see if shareholders will decide the fate of Warner Brothers. But if it goes through, or if it's consummated, at least in principle, the impact. Trump was actually asked about that at his cabinet gathering yesterday. Here's what he said.
You spoke about Netflix last night, saying you have concerns about them.
I know the companies very well. I know what they're doing, but I have to see what percentage of market they have. We have to see the Netflix percentage of market, Paramount, the percentage of market. I mean, none of them are particularly great friends of mine. You know, I want to do what's right. It's so very important to do what's right.
Paramount deal is supported by Jared Kushner, Mr. President. Would that impact your decision?
If Paramount is, I don't know. I've never spoken to him about it. He's really trying to work on Gaza. I think Gaza's his primary thing is Gaza.
So what would the impact be? Sasha Stone, who's Hollywood screenwriter of sorts, she has a Substack that I read time to time about the film industry. She argued this once the announcement was initially made, assuming that Netflix would purchase Warner Brothers. The deal is done. Netflix will purchase Warner Brothers for $82 billion. Yet another corporate monopoly drives a nail through Hollywood's coffin. It was bad enough when Disney bought Fox, Star Wars, and Marvel. Now Netflix will be among the most powerful corporate monopolies, replacing what Hollywood used to be. America gave up on Hollywood because Hollywood gave up on America. The result is empty movie theaters all over the country, one bomb after the other. Of course, Warner Brothers knew. You'd have to be an idiot not to know. Does anyone think Netflix is sweating the online memes, accusing it of being too woke? They aren't. They're making too much money to care. The flip side is, now this is an interested party, Josh Harlan, who is a Netflix shareholder, writing in the Wall Street Journal, argues that the two companies have complementary strengths and the Netflix envelopment of Warner Brothers could revive Hollywood. Well, what Sasha Stone said about Netflix, that is for sure true about the leftism of the content there. I don't know if you've seen this, but coming soon on Netflix, Queen of Coal. Queen of Coal is the movie. Here's the tease. A trans woman dreams of working the coal mines, but in a town steeped in superstition and patriarchy, Carlita must fight to earn her way underground. Oh, my God. It would be funny if it was like the Zucker brothers making this movie, but no, they're serious. This is going to be a drama of sorts. Good Lord Almighty. All right. Well, let's get some professional reviews of all of this. Pleased to be joined, as always, by our friend Christian Toto. He is the host of Hollywood in Toto, T-O-T-O, HollywoodInToto.com. Christian, thanks for joining us. As always, appreciate it. Do you have any particular perspective on Netflix owning Warner Brothers or subsuming Warner Brothers versus Paramount and what the implications are?
Part of me thinks that all we're talking about is inevitable, that the change is happening, the shrinking of the theatrical experience that will happen today, tomorrow, the next day. Not, things may hasten that change, but I fear that's what's going to happen. The bigger issue is that, you mentioned Netflix and woke commentary and the programming they have, and I agree. But I also think that in recent years, Netflix has course corrected for capitalistic reasons. Now, they had the Dave Chappelle special from a few years ago. There's a big outcry about the trans.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
they could have said, "Hey, listen, Dave, you're sorry, we can't work with you anymore. We're going to take the special off the air. And they didn't. They stuck to it. And ever since then, they've been more aggressive, at least in the comedy space, of putting on comedians who don't play by the rules, so to speak. So I think at this level, they've realized that it doesn't make as much monetary sense to keep going to the left, to keep going woke and ignoring half the country. Having said all that, if they get so big and they, consume HBO Max and Warner Brothers, maybe it's too big to fail and they can do whatever they want, which may make them go back to that kind of programming and say, believe you to the consumer. If you don't like it, go elsewhere, because there is no elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's not just Queen of Coal. Like the series The Beast Within Me, which was actually pretty good. I mean, because you had really good actors in Matthew Rhys and Carrie from Homeland. Why am I blanking on her name?
Claire Danes.
Claire Danes. But they have to have. Spoiler alert, not really, not much of one. It's a limited series. They have to have Claire Danes, being a lesbian in this lesbian relationship. And, that is sort of a subplot to the larger plot. So, they're always having to shoehorn in some identity politics that comports with their, identitarian perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood's going to Hollywood, that's for sure. That's not going to change.
Yeah.
But I do think the industry has evolved a little bit, or realized that kind of aggressive, as what Critical Thinker calls the message, I think that they realize that that's pushing people away. So I think there has been improvement there. But yeah, this is, my gosh, I mean, so much will change. And, Netflix is saying, we're not going to get rid of the theatrical releases. We will honor that for Warner Brothers titles. But who's holding them to that? Who's going to, say, wait, you said this, and now it's that? And they could just argue that, hey, these movies haven't been doing well in theaters. Actually, we think there's a better revenue stream if we just put them straight on streaming and go from there. So, I mean, this is a big deal from a content perspective and a cultural perspective as well.
But going back to what Sasha Stone wrote about sort of the state of the film industry, I mean, you wrote about it, too, in conjunction with this interview that Chaz Palminteri gave on a podcast, where he argued that Godfather couldn't be made today, Midnight Cowboy couldn't be made today. I mean, good grief. I thought it was bad enough when you had Steve Carell saying The Office couldn't be made today, but Godfather and Midnight Cowboy would have no audience among Hollywood producers these days?
Well, I think there are ways you can make challenging, problematic characters, anti-heroes, that are acceptable. For some reason, we can make a million movies at hitmen, assassins, and we love that. And we have no sort of moral hand-wringing. But, heaven forbid you have Bluto from Animal House, peeping at a girl's window in that film, and all of a sudden we have the vapors. So, I don't think that what Chaz said, I don't think those are the best examples of movies that can't be made today. But, he's in the belly of the beast, and he's been there forever, and he's a smart guy. So I don't want to discount what he's saying. But I do think, there are many reasons why Hollywood is in the shape it's in right now. And part of it is because these storytellers have had their hands tied together. They can't tell certain stories certain ways. Like you mentioned, you have to kind of inject certain themes in. And that isn't really good for the organic flow of storytelling. Listen, it's very hard to make a movie, very hard to make a great movie, very hard to defy the odds and make a blockbuster. But when your hands are tied and you can't do certain things and you can't, tell the story you want to tell, then that makes it even more challenging.
Speaking of the industry, but television, you wrote recently about Jimmy Kimmel. Are we seeing the beginning of the end of the Jimmy Kimmel show and maybe the other late night talk shows too, a la Colbert?
I wonder if his current contract would just expire and nothing happens and he goes away, if this whole kerfuffle didn't happen with the Charlie Kirk comments and Trump's comments. I think ABC got such blowback from within the Hollywood community that they had to basically keep him on the air. But they just signed Kimmel to a 1-year extension. That's not exactly a vote of confidence. And even Kimmel himself, he said that this whole format, he sees it dying in 10 years. I think it's going to be much sooner than that. So, the ratings aren't great. They've been a little better since he came back from the suspension. But if the Late Show, the Colbert Show, was allegedly losing $40 million a year, that's been reported, no one's denying it on the record, you're going to tell me the Kimmel Show, which got less ratings, is making money? It seems improbable. I don't know the numbers, but it just seems odd.
Yeah, it's sort of remarkable. I mean, I guess these businesses are so flush that they can afford to do things that are averse to their bottom line. right? Adverse to their bottom line.
I agree, but that begs the question: why? Why would they be willing to lose money? Would they want to make money in that time slot or put out programming that's more economically viable? It seems like a dumb question, but an obvious one, right?
Well, right, but I mean but you sort of answered it too in terms of like the political blowback would be, I mean, this is as much about status as money, as long as the money is enough. And so if the money's enough, I don't want to lose status. And if I clipped Kimmel, it would seem like it was in response to the flap with the Charlie Kirk matter, as you said, and then I would, maybe not be invited to hang out in the Hamptons in the summer.
Yeah, I don't disagree with David. I think you're absolutely right. And by the way, can we just reflect on the fact that Kimmel never really apologized, never really corrected the record? And,
True.
It just speaks ill of him. Adam Carolla is a great friend of Kimmel and speaks very highly of him. I'm sure other people speak very highly of Kimmel. He may be in many, many ways a nice person and a good person. Never discount that. I don't know these people, in their real life. But that's a bad thing to do, to mislead your audience and then stick to your guns for ego reasons, political reasons. I mean, just said, hey, listen, I screwed up. And, we're a forgiving nation. Hey, Jimmy Kimmel went too far. At least he manned up, no pun intended, and said the right thing and did the right thing. And just go on. And we don't care if you hit Trump every night. If he's the president, that's your job. That's fine. I wish you could have done the same for Biden, but that's another story.
Mm-hmm, yes. What did you think of the Kennedy Center honors? Nice to see Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are alive and well. But of course, Trump is getting a lot of flack from the institutional arts community about his takeover, if you will, of the Kennedy Center and the Kennedy Center board in particular.
Yeah, it's a kind of story that I the Kennedy Center people now say that the center was in the red and they're actually doing better financially. If that's all true, that's all well and good. But the bottom line is that Sylvester Stallone deserves an honor. And so
yes, that's Sly too. Yeah, right.
A gazillion records, and these are very talented people. So you can blast Trump. You can say he shouldn't be, hosting these awards, even though he's a bit of a character, and why not? But these are deserving honorees, and that's the bottom line. And listen, the arts have been captured by the left. It's undeniable. But when the right does a little bit of pushback, there's a lot of gnashing of teeth. I understand. I get it, but it's a little comical.
All right, so I was reviewing the best movies of 2025 according to New York Times art critics, which I properly discount some of their reviews, which is why I wanted to bump these up against you. Now, again, sure. I haven't seen some of them, so I'm a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, and One Battle After Another is on everybody's list. I haven't, so I haven't seen that. They like Sinners too, which is the Michael B. Jordan film about Jim Crow, Mississippi. So I haven't seen those, so I'm not passing comment, but I wanted to get your take on some of the films you thought that debuted in 2025 that people should see, because really there's not a lot that jumped to mind for me. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking of I like Nona's, I mean, I don't have like a lot of movies that struck me as particularly memorable.
I like Notice too. It's a charmer. It's not a best picture, obviously, but it's a very enjoyable film.
Yeah.
I thought Sinners was terrific. It's a early 1900s story that becomes a vampire saga. That's Ryan Coogler. He's a very talented director, so I'm all on board with that. I thought Weapons was a great horror movie and just a great
Weapons
movie.
Weapons was good. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I enjoyed One Battle After Another. It's an interesting film. It's deeply flawed. It is morally repugnant, which is actually why it's going to be winning all the awards this year, because it's a completely open borders, anti-government, anti-Trump movie.
Guaranteed the best picture, right?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, no, I mean, place your bets, folks. If you're going to fill out your Oscar pool, you're good to go. Also, I want to mention two others. One is Jay Kelly, which is on Netflix right now. George Clooney essentially plays himself as a movie star, a very flawed one, looking at his life. It's terrific. And Adam Sandler is good as a co-star. And also, Marty Supreme is coming out, I think it's Christmas Day. Timothy Chalamet plays a ping pong prodigy. I know it doesn't sound like cinematic catnip, but it is a wild ride. Very entertaining, very strong movie. And I think unless they want to give it to Leo again for Best Actor, I think he's got the lock on Best Actor for that performance.
Yeah, and Timothy Chalamet so dreamy too. On top of it, right, Christian? Marty Supreme is on their top 10 list too, over the New York Times. So you're over the target on that one. Christian Toto, he is the host of Hollywood in Toto, HollywoodInToto.com, website for his musings on the entertainment industry, as well as his very popular podcast. Christian Toto, thanks so much for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim, where we talk all things retirement. I'm here with my friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, what are the biggest expenses listeners will face in retirement? And please explain the process you take to address these expenses.
Well, Dan, most people think it's healthcare, and it is one of them. But the number one expense in retirement is actually taxes, and that needs to be addressed. Most people have put their money year after year in their tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and IRAs, and they have basically deferred their taxes for a long time. But they've created a tax time bomb, and they don't know it. And that's why we offer the Tax Impact Report.
Tim, so many of us lack a retirement tax plan. For your clients and customers, how do you help map out a tax plan in retirement?
Well, we start with a Tax Impact Report. Most people know how much money they saved for retirement, but they have no idea how much they'll be paying in taxes throughout their retirement. We will run them a report that shows if they defer